Going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Radical Race Series. We've got a real British leg to end off this season here in 2023, the first season in 2023. Last week, a couple of fantastic races at Oulton Park. This week it's Silverstone. Next week, Brands Hatch before our finale at the famous Nordschleife, of course. It's shaping up to be a great season. One of the best yet, with one of the best championship fights we have seen in a very, very long time here in this championship, and the first time in a couple of seasons where it looks like we may well get an exciting and challenging championship finale in 3 weeks' time. But for now, it's a blast from the past here at Legacy Silverstone, the 2007 layout with the start-finish line on the run-up towards Copse, and the bridge section as well. A little bit of a heart back to the past, which some of you may enjoy. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside James Parfitt here on the JPB channel. It's great to be here, James. It's a bit of a blast from the past, as we mentioned, and coming off the back of a very, very exciting week last week.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm really interested to see how they get on with the circuit, right? There's a little bit of a soft spot for this circuit, and it all revolves around turn 17, which is aptly named Woodcote. Now, the reason it's a soft spot is Silverstone, when it first went to Silverstone many, many years ago, when this circuit layout was in use, I actually sat on the corner of Woodcote, and the reason it's relevant to that is I actually lived in Woodcote Avenue in Mill Hill in London. So it was a little bit of a sentimental thing going on there as well. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how they get on with this layout. I do love this layout. I think it's amazing, and I think guys are going to do really well here this evening.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, the Woodcote corner, in my opinion, one of the only corners in the world to be given a name that's not really a corner, but whatever. Anyway, it's the run onto the front straight here. These are the championship standings, and they are ridiculous. Luke Maxwell is leading by 3 points ahead of John McCutcheon, and Simon Edwards, despite having scored the most points of anyone this season, is third because of the 3 drop rounds. Dan Webster needs to stay in touch today badly, really. He's now 37 points off the top. He's still in touch just about, but can't really afford to lose any more points. Mike Bouston in what's becoming a comfortable top 5 for him now, but he's being chased by Paul LeMay. Paul Clark 7th, James Child, Robert Woodward and David Rolleston the top 10. Bit of a gap then to Seth Brown, who's battling a bit with the likes of Darryl Taylor, Martina Ward, Jamie Bird for that 11th spot. Then we've got Damien G to round out the top 15. Phil Glover, nice and consistent in 16th position. Then Sergio Dela Cruz, Paul Crabb, Graham Brown and Colin Wynn to round out the top 20. Phil Jocelyn has got just over 100 points there in 21st, ahead of David Ward. Graham Brown with an E, has got an E in the first name, that is 23rd. David Beasley is 24th ahead of Jorge Gonzaga, who is here again today, by the way. Andrew Derrick is 26th ahead of Austin Gretorix, and we're still waiting for Ben Underdown to make an appearance this season. Although he did make an appearance in the Discord the other day, asking about unrelated things to do with technical stuff I didn't really understand. But he's, seems to be doing fine. Just not in our server for this season, unfortunately, as we come to the end of practice. Championship standings, pretty ridiculous, really. As I mentioned in the rundown, Luke Maxwell is, Simon Edwards has scored the most points out of anyone. There they are again. But he's 12 points off the top, and I don't know if I've ever really seen a championship quite like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, you've got the drop weeks, haven't we? And they've started appearing and we've started seeing them now. And from the guy's point of view, I anybody that knows me and anybody that's watched any of my broadcasts, by the way, good evening to Ewan Bramer, Paul LeMay and Colin Wynn. Welcome in, thank you so much. Knows that I'm not a lover of drop weeks, right? I'm a bit of an old school person that if you're going to miss a week in a championship, well, unfortunately, suck it up. You know what I mean? Suck it up, deal with it. It's not our fault that you've missed it. You know what I mean? But they do have drop weeks in leagues, and we know we've got 3 here, but that's the problem with drop weeks, isn't it? You can score loads of points, and then you can lose the points because of the drop weeks, and then that puts you in a horrible position where you've got all these points, but the drop weeks come off and you find yourself dropping down the order. It sucks. I don't like them.
To be honest, now that I'm across this season, I am actually a fan. We were talking a little bit before we went on air a couple of seasons ago about the season where we didn't really understand what was going on, even at the final round, and we ended up getting the championship winner wrong and all that. A bit of a mess. But it. Now that I'm across it, I'm happy with it. I think that the main reason, though, that Simon Edwards has scored the most points, and no disrespect to him, of course, is that he's just so consistent. He's been by far the most consistent driver here this season, in my opinion. And here's a stat for you, by the way. In the last 7 rounds of this championship, the difference between Simon Edwards' lowest score and his highest score in the last 7 weeks is only 13 points. When you consider all the abnormalities that you have with this system now, with the sprint and feature rounds, with all of the chaos, with 2 endurance rounds as well, by the way. 1 endurance round included in that. 13 points top to bottom is unbelievable consistency with this points format.
Yeah, and he's been lucky a few times as well, hasn't he, with Simon Edwards? There's been a couple of times where he's been a little bit out of sync, and then Bathurst was one of them where he got fortunate enough with, obviously, people having accidents and hitting the wall, and so far, and he come through, and he admitted himself that he was lucky on that one. So it's been a great season. Last time out in Auto Park, we saw probably the best feature race that I've ever witnessed. It was absolutely incredible, and that's what we've got. The same format here, the sprint and feature is 8 laps in the sprint, 14 in the feature, and that feature last week was unbelievable. As you see Mike Bousson go off there on the end around Luffield and on the run round Woodcote, of course. But I think this season has been amazing, probably better than last season. This new format has really worked. Everybody's really taken to it. Can they reduce the drop weeks? Colin Wynn's put up a good point in chat there. 3's too much, 1 maybe 2 tops. But agreed with none as well. So I don't know, maybe I'm just old school. Maybe it's like Formula 1, isn't it? If a guy's got COVID, he misses a week, but he doesn't all of a sudden get his lowest score discounted, and he doesn't stay there in the championship. It's like, well, tough, mate. Suck it up. It's one of them things, isn't it? But I think overall it should be an interesting now. I've got to point out, I did meet some guys up at iLounge Racing the other day. I met Luke Maxwell, Mike Bousson was up there, Paul Clark, of course, Darryl Taylor. Was there, Colin Wynn, Damien G, Seth Brown was up there, and I met George, right? Now, George came up to me and he said, James, I said, what's that? He said, I have to tell you. He said, my last name is George Gonzaga. And I said, right. He said, but I am going to change it by default to Gonzaga, just for you. He said, but it is George Gonzaga. I said, okay, George, I will make sure that we get Gonzaga right. And he said, thank you very much, James. I said, no problem. So there we go, George Gonzaga.
And what do you know? I've already said it wrong in this broadcast, so I'm sorry.
I know, that's because I didn't tell you.
Yeah, you didn't tell me until now, so I appreciate that.
It would have killed my story if I told you anybody.
It would have.
If I told you before, But look, I've told you now, so it is Gonzaga.
Okay, I'll remember that now. And I thought, to be honest, we'd asked him if we got it right before, but maybe it was just the first name. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've sorted it now, and hopefully we'll be fine. And hopefully it has a good race as well here. 8th place in practice right now, as John McCutcheon does his classic thing. I don't know whether he's been practicing on his own or whether he has just stepped into this server and this is literally the first lap he's doing at all, or whether it's just the first lap in this server. But it's a 41.0 from John McCutcheon right at the end of practice. And by the way, on the subject of drop weeks, it's hard to know what to do, really. It's hard to know also which produces a championship or a better championship as well, because sometimes even with drop weeks, you can't save someone from completely steamrolling everyone else. But even if we had taken all the drop weeks out this season, John McCutcheon would only be trailing Simon Edwards by 9 points. And Luke Maxwell would be a little bit of a distance at 45 points back, but it's not irretrievable per se. But yeah, we would have a championship finale either way round. It's just been that kind of season, really, as we step into qualifying right now. In case you've not been with us so far this season, 10 minutes, but that's the less important thing. Far more importantly, you get 3 flying laps in the Radical Race Series, and typically your last lap will be the fastest one. based on what we've seen so far. We've got the big names here, so it's going to be it's going to be fun, hopefully.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good win as well. Great crowd last Saturday. It was. Paul LeMay was up there, of course, as well. Paul's not here. He's injured himself, should we say. So, unfortunately, Paul LeMay will miss this round. So, and Colin Wynn is still injured. So, you know, they're on the we cannot drive list, unfortunately, for Colin and Paul. But there we go. They're in YouTube chat. Going to enjoy the show here tonight. I think this is going to be absolutely incredible. I think once we get, you know, the first couple of laps out of the way of qualifying, we'll be able to get a better picture of where they're going to sit time-wise. And I think that's going to be one of the interesting things, I think, here is how they get on with this layout. Everybody knows Silverstone, right? They know it itself, but we don't drive on the legacy layout very often, if at all, throughout a season, sometimes in series. So I think they're going to enjoy it. I think they're going to enjoy the change from the normal Silverstone layout.
I think so. I wouldn't like to see this layout used, you know, that often, personally, but I would like, you know, every now and again, it's a nice addition to a calendar. I actually don't remember the Silverstone current layout being used in the Radicals for a very long time either. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but certainly not been in the last couple of seasons, maybe. I don't remember it per se in the Radical schedule, so it's good to have it here. It's not only, of course, the actual layout that's different in terms of turning left at Abbey and going through the bridge section, but it's also, you know, it's just a little bit different in terms of the sides of the track. It's not too much different here, but when we go up towards or down towards the chicane at Vale and out through Club as well, it looks very different through there because obviously there's no pit building. Down at this end of the circuit, it's obviously a noticeable difference to what it looks like 15 years on, which of course where we are now. So it is quite something to get your head around, but not too many new corners to really learn here. Really, it's fine for the most part, and yeah, hopefully good racing as well. I've got to say I'm a big fan of the new Silverstone layout, but it's good now and again to go back to the older one.
Absolutely as well. Stephen Place has said, though, you are correct, young Ewan. You are correct. It hasn't been used in many, many seasons. Now, I want to pick up on something that Paul LeMay just said. He said, this is what's happened to Paul currently. He's trapped a nerve in my neck, but he has toothache in my arm.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I didn't know you had a tooth
Someone
growing
bitten
in
him?
your... I don't know. Do you have teeth growing in your arm, Paul?
Shark attack?
I don't know. Maybe.
That'd be toothache. That'd be more than that, I think.
Yeah, definitely that one.
But yeah, hopefully we see Paul LeMay back out there soon again, and Colin Wynn as well, actually. But we probably shouldn't be laughing at him really at struggles like that. Sorry, Paul.
No, I had the pleasure of meeting him on Saturday. He's a lovely guy. Him and his brother were absolutely amazing. They were great with my boys were up there as well. So yeah, I'm sure Paul won't mind about the little bit of ribbon about toothache in my arm. So there we go.
It's an odd one, but
yes.
but there we are. Hopefully we see them both out on the track again very soon. Although we do appreciate you stopping by, of course, and giving us a watch here this afternoon, or this evening as it is now. Yeah, first round of times have come in, although not from John McCutcheon. Not sure. He's just in the final sector right now, although it's a little bit away from where you'd expect to see him. There he is, 9th place. Simon Edwards currently leading though, then Dan Webster, then Luke Maxwell. But we are about half a second down on where we were in practice, which is actually quite close really, compared to what we've seen sometimes. Half a second is not really that much, but times will tumble here in the next 2 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Webster and Simon Edwards have been swapping purple sectors. Dan gets it for a brief moment, and then Simon takes it off him. So these are going to be very close times. Both of them yellow in sector 4, so they've got a bit of a run, as we can see now, with Simon Edwards coming around the Brooklands Bridge at Luffield Complex before we go round onto Woodcote. It is a corner. Ewan, I know what you said, but I lived in the road. It has to be a corner at a famous race circuit, I'm afraid. It's got to be. So there we go.
Not when you think about, but it is a corner.
No,
you
it's
do have
not.
to turn the wheel.
You know, yeah, exactly.
So there we are. I'll allow it. Here's Simon Edwards over the line. Does he go any quicker? Doesn't look like it. Dan Webster certainly has, and George Gonzaga certainly has as well. 3rd place for him as Luke Maxwell and Mike Booson drop down the standings. Luke Maxwell does still have to come over the line, and so does Booson. But let's see where they're going to come out. There's Daryl Taylor. I think Maxwell goes to the top. Fantastic lap time from him. He was fastest in practice by 3/10 of a second and does have more to give as well based on that time. But he's gone to the top. Maxwell, Webster and Edwards 1, 2, 3 right now. And John McCutchinson going to try and join them as the 4 championship contenders converge. Let's see if they do. Out of Woodcote right now for the Scotsman. Where's it going to be? Oh, second place. We have our championship contenders exactly where we'd like them.
Yeah, the top 4, Maxwell, McHutchison, Webster and Edwards, separated by about 2 tenths currently, with Gonzaga behind there as well, only a 4 tenths off the leader, so that's incredible driving by George Gonzaga with Paul Crabb behind him as well. This is going to be one epic fight as we got 17 cars on track. Martina Ward has also been out of commission. She's fell off her bike. However, from Martina, we've got to give Martina a big shout out. She did now, I saw the post, I'm going to have a quick read of the post, but she did make it through to the top 15 drivers who have a chance to compete live in the Las Vegas this coming 4th of March. And Martina is currently on top there on the final leaderboard. So hopefully for Martina, she'll do an absolutely stellar job. And that will be Las Vegas in 2 weeks to compete for a test drive in a Porsche race car and 15K. There we go.
There you are. Yeah, good to see in the Discord earlier this week. Dan Webster's gone to the top though. Final lap time's going to come in. Simon Edwards couldn't improve by the looks of that. So 4 places, the best he's going to get. There is Luke Maxwell, who goes to the front. Fantastic from him. John McCutcheon's in the final couple of corners right now. He's only 2 tenths away as Mike Booson goes up to 5th place. George Gonzaga going to stay where he is. John McCutcheon comes up towards the line, though, just coming up through Woodcote right now. He's over the line, and it doesn't look like it's any better. It isn't. He's just a tenth or so away. McCutchenson's going to be 3rd, but with that late lap time, Dan Webster must have thought he had that one, but Luke Maxwell just had enough to take another pole.
Yeah, I think that's incredible from Luke, and I did sit down and have a bit of a chat with Luke at iLounge Racing on Saturday as well, and just to see how his process and how his thought process goes into, you know, the setting up the cars and how that, because when you hear Luke Maxwell, and when you watch him drive, you're expecting this different individual for one that you have turn up in front of you, and you're sitting there going, "Wow, Luke, you don't look like what I thought you were looking like." You know what I mean? And it was a great shock to see that Luke Maxwell is, you know, he's around about my age. He's a tall boy, and yeah, he drives absolutely incredible, and yeah, it's interesting to see, really. There's hope for me yet, let's put it that way.
Absolutely, why not? It's great to see you, by the way, even though I wasn't there. It's great to see everybody having a IRL meetup, if you like, last weekend at the iLounge Racing studio, I guess, or what do you call it?
It's more of a showroom. Let's
showroom.
Yeah, I would say showroom, right? The reason I say showroom is I did a tour of the whole building talking to Paul, and it's definitely a showroom. It's definitely got a lot of playthings in for people who enjoy their hi-fis, and then just for good health, you get to sit in a motion sim rig, which is literally, my boy absolutely loved that sim rig. One of my son sat in it. You could barely see him over the steering wheel. Paul did post it on social media, and literally you just see his hair above the sim rig, because it is literally like half a Formula One car with a massive screen on this motion. It was incredible, but it was great to see them as well. We did do some blindfold racing, which was quite interesting as well. Yes. But the video will be coming out. I'm just in the process of editing it all, sticking it all together. So we will have a video of the whole day up there of people in the bit of blindfold racing getting involved as well. So look forward to that one. It is taking a little bit longer than expected, because I'm just trying to resolve some of the sound issues that Mr. Clark caused me, bless him, as well.
We'll have it up soon. So subscribe, I guess, on the JPB channel. We're just gone over 600, by the way, in terms of that. So very good news indeed. And hopefully good news to come in this race as well. Luke Maxwell with the pole position ahead of Dan Webster. Stole it right at the end. John McCutcheon, Simon Edwards sharing row 2. Big names in the top 4 there. Then it's Bousson and Gonzaga. Then Crabb, Clark, Rolleston, Woodward, your top 10. Darrell Taylor just missed out there with James Child, 12. Damien G, Seth Brown, Phil Glover, Phil Jocelyn and Jamie Bird round out the 17 drivers making up the field today in this championship battle that is just heating up week on week. Just to remind you, Luke Maxwell currently leads by 3 points ahead of John McCutcheon. Simon Edwards 12 points back, Dan Webster 37 points back. Those 4 are the ones in contention. Mike Bousson and others are sort of in contention, mathematically maybe, but not realistically. It's most likely going to be between those top 4, between those first 2 roads that are on our grid here at Silverstone. The lights are going to come on, and the sprint race here at Silverstone underway. Everybody gets away well this time as well, unlike at Oulton Park last week. Luke Maxwell's going to take this race by the scruff of the neck, and he is going to lead through Copse by the looks of things. Dan Webster slots into second, Edwards wide, and McCutcheon will retake third, as it's all gone on in the background. Paul Crabb, one of those that's got off the road in a big spin at the first turn, but up front the top 5 or so have gotten away. They've got single file, they've got organised, but behind it was a bit more of a mess.
Yeah, it was. Paul Crabb shooting off there as well as the guys come through Copse and in through that Magnuson Beckett's complex. Crabb shooting off in the background there. Damien G is battling away with Paul Clark, Gonzaga and Rolleston. Gonzaga's going to make his way through. Down into Stowe, that's Gonzaga. George Gonzaga up into 6th place. Maxwell's opened up a little bit of a gap here, Ewan. They've got to kind of be careful, haven't they? They can't let him go, because if they let him go, they're going to struggle to catch him again.
Absolutely can't let him go and can't let him grow that championship lead either. You can't really gain too many points in a sprint race due to the way that the points work. It's far more valuable to work your way through in the feature race. But since these 4, as of right now, will be starting in the bottom 4 places of the top 10, does it really matter? You might as well fight over any point you can get. Under the bridge and through the old legacy section here at Silverstone, and towards the final few corners, the much tighter Brooklands that you have at this layout. And then Luffield, which is the same, you're just taking a little bit less speed on the way in. That run onto the front straight. Maxwell running well. He had a fantastic practice session, got the pole position, and now he has been given a bit of a gap he might well run with.
Yeah, exactly. He's opened up about 8 taps at the moment. McCutcheon's battling away with Edwards, but we've got Gonzaga and Rolleston as they come running down now. Into Copse is Rollo tucked up right behind George Gonzaga, currently on this run down into Magnuson Beckett's there as well. And Robert Woodward is another man battling away with James Child. And then also we've got Darrell Taylor and Phil Jocelyn at the back as well. We have got our resident conversationalist Phil Glover in chat as well, so we will look at bringing him in at some point to have a conversation with us. He's currently sitting in 14th there. Got a new livery this week. I'm not quite sure that he didn't like the other one. We didn't ever find out who the Spanish man was on the front of his livery after last week, did we really?
No, we didn't. But that's a mystery, a modern myth, an urban myth that's going to live on, I imagine, if you want to call it that. But yeah, running down there in the 14th place right now. Everybody's staying very close together, though. The top 5 are getting away. Mike Bousson has hitched a ride with the championship. Well, the top 5 in the championship, to be fair. Mike Bousson's 5th. So the top 5 in the championship getting away. The rest of them forced to battle between themselves. But basically no gaps anywhere here.
No, the only gap is literally, as you say, between 5th and 6th. We've got about 2.9 seconds. Paul Crabb is battling away with Phil Jocelyn now as well. He's just going to go up the inside of Abbey. There, Crabb is through. Of course, he's coming back through after this unfortunate spin, which we can go and have a look back now and see what he's been up to here.
Whoa, Luke Maxwell's lost the lead somehow as well. We'll go back to that in a second. This is what happened to Paul Crabb, who started from 6th place in this race, around there. Oh, he got steamed in the inside there. I think that was Damien G on the inside there. Got absolutely steamrolled and Crabb onto the outside. But Luke Maxwell's lost the lead somewhere. I've no idea how he's managed that, because he was pulling a bit of a gap, and now we really do have a race on.
There isn't anything showing up. We can have a look at the overtake, but he's not.
I'll dropping off.
Oh no, the rear end locked up, and he got loose to try to control the car, and obviously slowed himself up there, and that's how he managed to get through. So there we go. But we are back live pictures.
Everyone in the chat predicted that Maxwell would win. Somebody just said that he's running away with it. That's exactly what you get for that, because Luke Maxwell's just lost the lead and we've all cursed him. I'm very sorry, but he's down into second place. Dan Webster has taken the lead, and now things have all of a sudden gotten very much closer. The pole sitter now, Luke Maxwell, already starting to put a bit of work in right now, starting to look at the back of Dan Webster and size up where he can make a move. Into Abbey maybe at turn 11. Not quite going to be the place for it. It is a bit of a braking zone down there, but maybe not as much as you maybe expect. You're not coming from quite top speed there, so the braking zone a little bit shorter. Here we are through the sweepers under bridge, and now in towards Brooklands we go. It's going to be over the line in this way, I would imagine, but a lot of pressure being heaped upon Dan Webster right now.
Yeah, Maxwell's not going to give it up, is he? He's like a dog with a bone. You take the bone, he's going to chase you down and want it back. And he did make that mistake, and we openly admit that that was on him for making that mistake on this run down. We go now, down through Cops. Is this going to be Maxwell? Is it going to be Webster? You're going to get about another lap of worth of voting time, so if you haven't voted already, go get it in now. But at the moment, it's Webster, Maxwell, McHutchison and Edwards, and it seems to be really between these two, I think, Ewan. Nobody else can... McHutchison's there, but he's not quite there.
He is within half a second, to be fair to him. He is applying the pressure, so I wouldn't count out John McHutchison just yet. And there is a couple of points on the line for him to get up into second, and another 5 if he wants to get up to the lead. So he'll certainly want those, but it is proving to be fairly difficult to overtake here at Silverstone, and that is sometimes a problem, especially in these kind of cars. Normally you get the benefit from the slipstream, but I do feel that since we don't have the Wellington straight here in this layout, we've only got that shorter straight from here down towards Abbey. That's slightly less time in the slipstream, and so drivers are finding it a little bit more difficult to overtake than they otherwise would, especially in this top 5 now, because the only overtake we have seen was due to Luke Maxwell's half spin.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the thing. There hasn't been, apart from Paul Crubb taking a little diver off track, which by the looks of it, he's done it again, and has now dropped down the order all the way down to the bottom of the field. You can see where the gaps are. Boost onto Gonzaga, 3.9 going out to 4, and then you've got second gaps between them all, and then you've got the Bird Woodwards within about 3/10 of Bird there, and there they are with Damien G. Now, I don't know if that incident with G at the beginning was slightly a little bit of netcode, but it did look like G was already alongside, so
yeah, very much so.
It'll be interesting to see if we can maybe try and catch it a little bit later, but we are here on lap 5 and these guys are flying at the moment.
I don't know where Paul Crubb's gone, by the way, but all of a sudden he's half a minute off the back of the pack, and he's clearly had further problems after that last incident. Very nice livery. I hadn't quite caught a proper glimpse of that, but Phil Glover's got a very nice livery on here this evening. The Castrol in the Castrol car. Going to be a little bit different to pick him out. That was there was a dive from Darryl Taylor, but you don't often see them through Magnus and Beckett's.
No, he did get alongside, and he was kind of maybe not if really there. You know what I mean? It brings that debate on whether or not what is alongside and what is not. As I found out duly myself on my TCR race on Monday, that I wasn't quite alongside, and maybe I was, but I wasn't. So, it's a very tricky situation, that alongside circumstances here. But Darryl Taylor was... yeah, he was nearly there, but not quite there. But Webster has still got Maxwell 2/10 back currently at the moment. So I'm really looking forward to how this one pans out, because they haven't got long and they're absolutely flying between the two of them.
Yep, up front right now, still the same 1, 2, 3 as previous. Simon Edwards beginning to lose the rear end of them a little bit, though. So a bit of a concern for him there in 4th position right now, out of the final corner at Luffield again. Dan Webster still leading, and he really does need this race result here, as I said at the top of the show. Really needs to at least not lose points today. Needs to gain some back, because he is 37 off of the championship lead of Luke Maxwell right now, and this would only give him another 3 points. But in my opinion, he does have to outscore pretty much everybody today to stay in contention, really. There are only 2 rounds after this one, after all.
Yeah, definitely, and that's going to be one of the interesting things. We've obviously got Brands Hatch, then the 7-lap endurance. Go for it.
Here we go, Luke Maxwell. There was a mistake there from Dan Webster on the exit of Chapel, and that's all the invitation that the championship leader needed. Luke Maxwell to the outside line, a long way around at Stowe, but it will give you the insight for the chicane if you can stay there. But Webster's got a good run. McCutcheon's very nearly making it free wide. Down the inside, though, is Luke Maxwell. He's late on the brakes, but he can't quite push out Dan Webster, who holds out on the inside. Side by side around the very long right-hander they go. And here comes McCutcheon again. Will he go free wide inside line at Abbey? Not quite. And here we see the squeeze from Webster as well. Maxwell will have the inside line, but they're still side by side under the bridge. Around the outside, Maxwell's going to go through the right-hander, and he will have it just about as we approach the three-quarter distance in this race. He's got it, and let's see where McCutcheon's going to go as well. Not quite going to go for this. That was a half-lap battle between the leaders, and it certainly doesn't look like it's over.
No, it definitely is not. They're coming round now around the Woodcote circuit, around the Woodcote corner on those run down into Cops. Maxwell, Webster take a bow. It was incredible. McCutcheon didn't go for the move, which he could have done quite easily. He could have stuck his nose in. He could have made it free wide. It was never going to work. So from McCutcheon's driver brain that he has got in that Scottish head of his, he backed out and just decided, I'm not going to have it. But he's going to be involved in the last few laps. We've got this and one more. I'm sure this is going to go all the way down to the wire, and at the moment it's Maxwell, Webster, McCutcheon, Edwards and Bousson, all literally, well, within a second and a half of each other currently at this moment in time as they go down the Hanger Straight.
I am surprised that John McCutcheon didn't go for it there. I mean, to back out of it into the chicane was sensible. It would have been on the outside of three wide and could have got squeezed onto the grass, but in towards Abbey, he had the inside line possible, and he didn't go for it. I am surprised about that, but clearly had his championship head on and didn't want to ruin it at all. So Maxwell has the lead with only just over a lap to go now, as Mike Bouston has gone off at the chicane at Vale, and he's dropping outside the top 10 with this, surely. Don't know what's happened. I think it was a solo car incident, though.
Yeah, we'll have a look back once this last lap's over and done with. I think this isn't going to be finished. We might have a little bit of a short time now. Let's have a quick look back.
There it is. Was running 5th place at the time. Oh, Edwards was a bit wide there. Maybe he went for it.
Oh,
no.
Grass.
Just, gone on the grass and completely misjudged that one. With the car in front of you, it's not quite a straight line there, as you can see from this camera angle. It's a little bit of a rise and fall there, and it's not straight either, that braking zone. So you can see how he got easily confused and easily onto the grass there for Mike Bousson, down to 12th place. He won't even benefit from the reverse grid at this rate. Final lap though, 1 lap to go around here at Silverstone, and here's Luke Maxwell about to increase his championship lead that little bit further. To everybody, it looks like he might well do. A few car lengths is what he has right now over Dan Webster, who did start to challenge him in the final sector of that last lap, but it might be too little too late here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be it. I think this could be Maxwell's, unless he makes a mistake, of course, and then Webster could be in with a shout, but Webster's got to make up 2 tenths as they're coming down now into turn 8 and then round 9, 10 and club, and then we'll have to see how it all works out here for this final half of this racetrack on the final lap here at Silverstone. It's going to be exciting. Just don't go anywhere, guys, because you haven't got long to find out how this one pans out, but I think Maxwell's looking good.
He is looking good. He should have this one now into the final sector. It's difficult to overtake here at the best of times, and he has a few car lengths to play with as well. Under the bridge they go into the final 3 corners now. Webster tries to follow the best he can. He can't get close enough really into Brooklands. But Maxwell just covering off a little bit anyway. Into Lovefields, a very difficult move. And so it looks like the championship leader, Luke Maxwell, is going to continue and extend this championship lead around Woodcote and over the line. Luke Maxwell wins the sprint race at Silverstone. 4 covered by a blanket. The 4 championship contenders continue to give us a great show to the very end. But Luke Maxwell beginning to take charge. He'll extend his championship lead now to 8 points over John McCutcheon, who was third. Sandwiched between them was Dan Webster staying in touch with Simon Edwards in fourth. Our championship contenders all still alive and kicking.
Yeah. They very much are as well. We'll try and see if we can have a look back at what happened to Damien G as well, because he looked like he'd been taking a little bit of a divert off track here. He's battling away with Bird.
Painful race for G.
Oh, did he avoid Brown? No! Oh, straight into the side of Seth Brown.
Yeah. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier on, about the fact that it's not only the layout that's different here, but now, for example, that would be tarmac. Damien G would end up on tarmac out there, and that whole thing wouldn't happen really. So it's different in more ways than just the layout. The legacy layout at Silverstone is a little bit less forgiving. Luke Maxwell though takes the win. Ahead of Dan Webster, John McCutcheon and Simon Edwards, all of them separated by less than a second and a half. David Rolliston with a nice top 5 there, ahead of Paul Clark. George Gonzaga there in 7th place. Did I say that right? Gonzaga. Gonzaga, sorry. James Charles, then Robert Woodward and Jamie Bird will all benefit from the reverse grid, and they'll be 1, 2, 3 off the start. Darryl Taylor just missed out, so did Mike Booson with that late spin. Bill Glover, 13th, ahead of Phil Jocelyn. Damien G, Seth Brown and Paul Crabb did finish on the lead lap by the end. We didn't have any retirements in that race. Although I did think that Paul Crabb was going to be one at one time. He fell off the pace after a couple of laps. But he did at least finish and will hopefully start at the second race, which is set up really nicely now. A very, very important run through the field coming up for those Championship 4.
Yeah, let's have a quick break. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's bring Phil Glover into the booth as we're in this warm-up period. Phil, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. How was your first race? That wasn't too bad, was it?
Yeah, not too bad. I kept it going, so it was all right. It'll be interesting to see how the tyres last on this longer stint, given the quick corners we've got.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be one to look forward to. What's your ambitions in the feature, Phil, to stay on track?
Yeah, stay on track, finish, and I don't know. I mean, it'd be great if I could get in the top 10, but I'm not sure about that.
All right, man, no worries. Well, we'll let you go. We'll try and catch up with you during the race there, Phil. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, give us a call when you want to speak.
Well,
cheers, man.
Bye. There you go. Caught up with quick Phil Glover there. As we come to the end of the warm-up, Ewan.
It's a good idea to slot that one in there, just while he's not driving at least. There are a few straights around here at least, so we can. But at Alton Park, it was a nightmare, really.
Yes.
Although it was not exactly a race where we could get the chance to interview people on the fly, to be fair. Let's see if we see a similar feature this time. Jamie Bird will be starting from the front with Robert Woodward. James Child and George Gonzaga will be on the second row. Hesitating there. Paul Clark will be 5th place with David Rolliston. Then Simon Edwards and John McCutcheon lining up together again. Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell lining up together again as well. Those 4 lining up in a similar way to what they did in the first race. Darryl Taylor, Mike Booson, Phil Glover, Phil Jocelyn, Damien G, Seth Brown and Paul Crabb, round out your 17-car grid for the feature race. 14 laps coming up. We've just seen 14 laps coming up for this second race here at the Legacy Silverstone circuit. And another very, very important one for those 4 starting 7th through 10th. Let's see how they get on as the red lights come on. And we are green flag racing. Jamie Bird from the front taking off a good start. Robert Woodward challenges him in towards turn number 1. But it looks like Bird's going to have this one with his car in front. And he will have that first position. Simon Edwards making moves though. Up to 5th place in towards turn number 1. 2 places gained already as the other 3 are floundering pretty much where they were before. Into Maggots and Beckett's they go for the first time. McCutcheon and Maxwell side by side in towards Chapel as well. Let's see if they both come out the other side.
Contact.
They will. There's contact. Oh my word. Around goes McCutcheon. 2nd place in the championship. That could be a big story and a big loss of points for the Scotsman. Luke Maxwell looks to have come away unscathed, as they go 3 wide behind, but John McCutcheon has just seen his championship aspirations take a huge hit there.
Yeah, he's dropped all the way down to the bottom of the field. McCutcheon and Maxwell battling away, elbows out, and there was a slight bit of contact. And unfortunately for them, they did end up going off. You know, Maxwell went round there, as McCutcheon went round, as we saw here. But it is a Bird, Woodward, Child, Edwards, Clark. They are all on track currently at the moment, and this is going to be exciting.
It certainly is. Oh, Robert Woodward very nearly went down the inside there of Jamie Bird. Here comes James Child as well, but look who's in the background. 4th place already. 3 places on the first lap for Simon Edwards. He's gonna have some more. 2 places, 2 more as Jamie Bird and Robert Woodward go off into the gravel. Everybody's given 2 places apart from John McCutcheon, who's still down there at the back of the field. He will maybe get 1, but Simon Edwards already up to 2nd place as the leaders collide in the first lap.
Yeah, this has been a crazy opening lap of the feature here. I normally try and write down things as quickly as possible, but it has been a bit of a nightmare. I've been putting the poll together, and every name I write in the poll ends up spinning and down the back end of the field. So
Get about it.
I'm trying to get it done. But I think at the end of the day, Edwards going to make play. He's got 2nd place here. He's got to be in with a shout of the win, surely.
Well, all 17 in the room with a shout for win. I'm not writing anyone off yet. Because who knows what's going to happen in this washing machine of a race, to use an analogy from last week. James Child currently leads it though. Simon Edwards right behind. This is exactly what he does. This is why he's a 4-time champion of this, 5-time indeed, champion of this series. Fantastic driver, of course, Simon Edwards, and just shows us once again why he is still up there. How he is so consistent, I will never know. He is always up there, just forever in contention. It's further behind. We're seeing Phil Glover have a problem, unfortunately. Don't know what's happened to Phil. I don't know if I was just not looking.
No, he
there he is.
He went off
Into
on the corner.
Vale.
Yeah.
So, looks like it.
Yeah, but Webster's here with Clark, Buson, Rollison and Gonzaga behind him. He's a little bit opening a gap now from Clark to Buson to Rollison to Maxwell. So Maxwell's got to be looking at coming through. He's gone past Gonzaga already. He's going to be chasing down Rollo. It depends on how much. It's more damage limitation for Maxwell now, as is McCutcheon. McCutcheon has got to get his boots on. He's got to get his Scottish legs running, and he's got to try and clear cars as quickly as possible here, because he needs to now limit the amount of damage that incident has caused him, and he's got to be trying to get up there, as is Maxwell, because otherwise it's going to be, I think Edwards has got enough to get past Child. I've got to be honest, that's no disrespect to Child. I think he's got enough to get past him.
I think Edwards and Webster are going to be 1 and 2 here pretty quickly. Once again, with no disrespect to James Child, the top 4 are just so good in this series, so good. Let's see how quickly it is for Simon Edwards though, because he has been behind in this position now for a lap. James Child has been able to cut through, and look at that behind. Guess who's at the front of a big train in a radical race? Paul Clark is, of course he is. Simon Edwards right though at Stoke Corner, there it is. Lead of the race changes, but only briefly. James Child puts up a good fight on the outside line and will get squeezed into us. Vale, here comes Webster, dearie me, very nearly into the side of Edwards. The 2 of them going to run side by side for a little while as well. James Child hanging on well here as Mike Buson, gets up into 4th place. Luke Maxwell's in that dangerous looking train for 4th place behind.
Yeah, he's fighting here with Rollo and Clark and Buson, of course. McCutcheon's battling away with Seth Brown. He's just cleared Brown for 12th. So he's trying to move his way through. Maxwell's at the back of this train, of course, with Rollo in front of him. Clark in front of that. We know what Paul Clark's like. He is the immovable object of Paul Clark. He's Mr. Paul Wide Clark in the Discord for a reason, and he makes it difficult for anybody. So the only good thing about Clark being at the front of this train is allowing Maxwell to close up onto the back of Rollo, and that's what he's got to do, but he's got to do it quick. He's got 10 laps remaining, and the other guys are 2.5, 3 seconds down the road. He's got to try and damage limitation his points he's got at the moment.
He's actually the only human I know of, Paul Clark, that actually gets wider in a race car. I don't know why, but he actually does. It's biological as well. It's just impossible to overtake somehow. but continues to show it week after week. James Child is proving pretty difficult to overtake as well here for Simon Edwards and Dan Webster, who are still stuck behind. They're on the hanger straight now, and they've got 10 laps after this one to do it, so there is time yet, but they are running, or they are going to get caught by Luke Maxwell if they're not careful, because here comes the championship leader down the inside of David Rolleston, who goes a bit wide really at Stowe Corner, gave him maybe a little bit more room than he really needed to. But it might not matter anyway. Maxwell's on the outside line in towards Vale. Rolleston does a good job of defending here. And there's the contact. Luke Maxwell contact with David Rolleston. And that is a shame. But, well, you can argue whether Maxwell was out of line there or whether Rolleston turned in. That's going to be an argument.
Well, if you want to look at opinions of a commentator that's probably not very popular, is the fact that I have got a funny feeling Rollo turned in on Maxwell. I think Maxwell had that gap and he turned in. He's now, though, put him with Bird McHutchinson as well. Oh, McHutchinson needs to clear Rollo. Bird's going off. Is he going to stop that? Well, I don't know where he's gone. Wherever he's gone, he's going to be there. You know, there he is. But it's very difficult here. But Charles hanging on from Edwards at the moment.
It certainly is. Top three still as they are. Mike Bousson might be able to catch up at this rate, and maybe even Luke Maxwell. I thought he was going to be limited to third or fourth in this race, but Maxwell might be able to do in with a sniff of a win if this goes on for too much longer. And surely Simon Edwards and Dan Webster have got to realise that. Although, well, will he be appearing on their relative yet? Maybe just about, but maybe it won't be a concern to them. John McHutchinson up to the top 10. He's continuing to limit the damage, and as of right now, it would only be damage of 4 points to Luke Maxwell, so it wouldn't be that bad, and it would only be a loss of 9 points on the day, so he's limiting the damage well, is John McHutchinson. But you've got to remember, when you get into the top 5, the points differences between individual positions get bigger as we go down towards Vale now with the top 3 once again. I think this is going to become a top 4 pretty soon.
Yeah, I think they're going to be punching up here. Perfect boost on. If he can get on his bike a little bit, he might be able to get involved. Of course, the man from Somerset doesn't live too far from me, does Mike Bousson. He did say the other day he's going to move house. Now he knows that I only live down the road. Bless him. A bit rude, but you know, there we go. That's Bousson for you. Yeah, but he's battling away here. Edwards is got the right pressure here from Webster, and if he's not careful, he's going to get done here. He's got to either Verstappen it on Child, or he's going to have to defend like Paul Clark, because either way, Webster's climbing all over him, and if he ain't careful, he's going to be under a heaps amount of pressure, more than he already is at the moment.
We're nearly halfway through this race, by the way, and Paul Clark's still at the head of a massive group, so what's new? That's for 5th place, further back. This is for 1st, though. Simon Edwards really struggling to get through, and Dan Webster looking like he's getting a little bit impatient right now. Fastest lap of the race so far from Mike Bousson. He closes in half a second in 1 lap to the 3 in front, and he's going to be involved very, very soon. Mike Bousson might have a chance at that race win that just eluded him so much last season. He couldn't win for love nor money, but maybe he can do it today. It would be a great story if he could. Up towards the hanger straight they're going to go. The top 3 so close again, but they're really not close enough for a move into Stowe, you wouldn't say, unless it's going to be a dive from somebody. Well, he has gone for it. Simon Edwards has gone for it, but he's backed out in the end. And Dan Webster trying to go around the outside. There's grass there these days, and so can't quite do it. Webster's going to have to go down the inside at the chicane. The 2 championship contenders side by side through a relatively tight section of corners. Not going to be able to go through Dan Webster. He's gone very, very wide, and Mike Bousson's on his case.
Yeah, Bousson's now alongside here. Here we go. Bousson on the left, then Webster, then Edwards. The Child is doing a stellar job out front. Maybe we didn't give him the amount of credit he deserves there, Ewan, but he is doing an absolutely amazing job. He's hung off. He kept Simon Edwards behind him. He's now pushed Edwards into Webster. Webster's now into Bousson. And this man is only 2.6 seconds up the road. He is pulling time out of Mike Bousson faster than a man in a sausage factory pulling the mince out. I've got to be honest, because he has now got down 2 tenths here, pulled out 1.3 on lap 4, 2 tenths on lap 5, and he's going for it again. It's going to be a 5-way train, and it could be that not very long time now. This is going to be amazing.
Now, James Child earlier on in this race heard us say, I think he's going to get overtaken here, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to prove these idiots wrong, and he is doing. He's still leading. and he's holding these three back right now. James Child, fantastic job so far. Simon Edwards, Dan Webster, Mike Bousson, all right behind. They can't do anything, and soon to be Luke Maxwell as well. We could well see a 5-car train for the lead here as we approach half distance. It was a little bit wide, and there's the side-by-side from Bousson and Webster. That's a very strange place to see it, but Webster slow on the hanger straight, and they're neck and neck up towards Stowe. But late on the brakes from Dan Webster, he's going to try and hang it all the way around, and it looks like he might have been successful in holding on to this position, unless Mike Bousson can do the same at the chicane. I think he's exercising a little bit of caution after what happened to him in the last race. Let's not forget where Mike Bousson started this race. He didn't benefit from the reverse grid at all. He started down in 12th place, and now he's in contention for a win.
Yeah, he's now going to try and send it, looking at the inside of Webster here. I tell you what, he's doing an absolutely stellar job. He is absolutely flying, is Mike, and give props to Mike where credit's credit due, and I do give him a bit of grief, and I did give him a bit of grief on Saturday. He did turn around. The reason that he hasn't won is since JPB come in as broadcasters. So he's blaming us for that. I know, that's what I thought, Ewan. I thought that was a little bit rude, but I didn't really antagonise him. However, I do have a wonderful picture of Mike Bousson driving blindfolded, so if he carries on giving us grief, I'll post it on social media. So that would be quite amazing, wouldn't it, really? Bousson with his nose in the air.
Take the blindfold off, it might help to win one of these races. Top four still staying locked together as we cross the first half of this race, and there's Luke Maxwell just over 2 seconds back. There's Paul Clark, and he's got drivers behind him. Of course he has. Paul Crabb is one of them, who's gained 10 places, by the way. Paul Crabb, great drive from the two-time champion, and George Gonzaga is there again. Gonzaga, sorry. I need to really get myself in line for that. He's 8th place right now with John McCutchinson, just 9th with David Roniston running out the top 10 further down, by the way. But this is where the action is. Simon Edwards looks like he's beginning to struggle. I don't know whether he's just holding something back. We know about the tyre wear around here. We know that you do need to be careful. I don't know whether Edwards is just doing that, exactly that, just being careful, whether he really is struggling right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he's any more careful, he's got Maxwell about 2.2 back at the moment, and if he's going to be careful, this is probably not the track. With Maxwell, with your championship rival Webster right behind you, with Maxwell further down and McCutchinson in 9th, he is now only 1.1 seconds back from Gonzaga as well, so this is going to be really spicy on how Maxwell and McCutchinson are coming back through the field after their little ta-ta-ta at the beginning of the race here. But we've got Child, Edwards, Webster, Bousson, Maxwell, and it's all getting a bit bunchy here, and they've got to be careful not to trip over each other.
Well, 6 laps to go. James Child has led pretty much all the laps. I think he has led all the laps so far. 8 out of 8. Let's see if he can do another 6. He can take home a race win here. What a story that would be. Through turn 1 they go, through Cobb's Corner. Luke Maxwell staying at over 2 seconds back. Maybe they do feel safe, but he is going to stay away in this one. John McCutchinson, by the way, is caught up to the Paul Clark group as Paul Crabb begins to get ever closer. I think he even had a little bit of a go in towards Magnussen Beckett's there, but he's got back. Oh, well, yeah, there we go. Paul Crabb is off the road. There goes Gonzaga, and there goes John McCutchinson, who might have taken 2 places in one. Gonzaga there was... as Crabb goes for a spin in the background. Here goes McCutchinson. Through he goes as Mike Bousson and Dan Webster have gone through on Simon Edwards as well. Don't know whether that was a mistake or what that was, but Simon Edwards has gone from 2nd to 4th.
I'm trying to see. It doesn't register that he's done anything wrong. I think he's just lost position. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it must be a bad run out of Chapel then.
Yeah, he just got pushed on the outside. And Bousson got his elbows out and said, well, if you're going to leave me that much room, mate, I'm coming through. You're burgled, mate. I'm having that place if you're going to leave the door open for me like that.
Well, James Child just got 0% in the vote to win this race, by the way, but he's got more than half a second worth of a lead right now. What are we going to see? What you'd have to call an underdog victory here today. 5 laps until the end of this race at Silverstone. Just over a second back to Maxwell, with McCutcheon doing the best to limit the damage that he can do. He's 7th place. I think getting past Paul Clark might be all he can hope for from this race. So at maximum, it's going to be 50. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong structure there. Maximum, it's going to be 25 points to John McCutcheon. There's 40 available for a race winner here to really put some distance in between yourself and McCutcheon, who's still second in the championship, coming into this round, now 8 points back from Luke Maxwell. Simon Edwards, by the way, 19 points back as we run right now as a result of the sprint race earlier on today. So we'll see how it develops with the feature race, but Luke Maxwell getting ever closer. There he is.
Yeah, he's down below that. He's coming into that below the second window. He is literally hunted Edwards down like, well, it's like a lion chasing an injured gazelle at the moment, because Edwards, it looks like he's struggling a little bit. And here comes the man, the machine, your championship leader, Luke Maxwell. But up front, this boy here, what a shout out to James Child. He's doing an absolute stellar job currently at the moment. He's holding it back. He's holding it back. I suppose from Maxwell's point of view, that's been a bargain because he's been able to close the gap up. But Child is, well, as you say, 0% in the votes, and he's absolutely doing a stellar job.
Well, this series just continuing to deliver race after race. A fantastic sprint race, albeit a little bit cagey between the top contenders. Now they've really been let off the leash, and now they've gone to battle with each other. Maxwell and McCutcheon clashing earlier on lap 1. McCutcheon having to come through the field for most of this race. That job not quite complete just yet. James Child, the big story up front though. An underdog victory on the cards here at Silverstone. 4 laps including this one to go. You're looking back at Dan Webster doing his best to stay in touch in the title fight, and with a win here he certainly would be. Out of Chapel they're going to come up towards the Hanger Straight. A bit of slipstream here for Webster. He's still going to be too far back, although he does look more likely than Simon Edwards did to make a move.
Oh, he's going to try. He's sending it on the inside.
Oh! So close.
Oh, Child's going to hang him out, but here comes Bousson as well. Bousson's going to dive on the inside as well. He said again, you're leaving that door open, mate. I'm going to have it off you. Bousson.
Oh, Webster.
Oh,
look at that. This is unbelievable racing between the two. Side by side between Webster and Bousson. Dan Webster on the outside. They make contact side to side. Webster tries to squeeze into Abbey. They go late on the brakes from Webster, and he will have the place. Simon Edwards will try and come here as well under the bridge. He won't be able to get there. Luke Maxwell's here, and James Charles has got more than a second's worth of a lead right now.
Yeah, look who's in the back. He's there now. Luke Maxwell, your championship leader's on him. Edwards doesn't have a problem with just trying to get past the flying my boots on his front. He's now got to defend like absolute crazy here from Luke Maxwell. And James Charles, as you said, has opened up a 1.1 second gap due to them guys fighting. And he is doing an absolute stellar job. But this is it. This is the four-way we wanted to see. Webster, Bousson. Oh, Bousson's gone round.
Oh, no. Bousson gone from third position. He's gone all the way around as well. He's gotten out the way for Paul Clark and John McCutcheon. Everybody gets a free place. Edwards had to slow down there though. And there's Luke Maxwell. He's right on the back of the 4-time champion right now as they go onto the Hanger Straight, because Edwards just had to lift off there through Copse just to make sure that there wasn't any contact. And here the two championship rivals are going to go at it again. Outside line for Luke Maxwell in towards Stowe Corner. He's going to hang it round. Oh, Edwards misses the apex a little bit, gets into the side of the championship leader. It shouldn't matter though. Maxwell should still have this one on the inside line at Vale, unless Edwards can get round the outside through the first spot for the inside at the second, and he will do that. He'll hang on to third place. The top two are away, but these two still fighting for third.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one that's fighting as well is the Scotsman over at the I shall not pass, Mr. I'm too wide for you, Paul Clark. He's fighting away now. Can McCutcheon clear it? but it is Maxwell and Edwards. I think that's where some of the action's going to be as we're going into the last few laps here. This is going to be incredible. Maxwell's dropped back a little bit, so we'll go back to the McHutchinson battle, but there is also Woodward trying to battle down with Bousson. We might just find a little gap about now. We'll have a quick look.
Like he just lost it on his own, didn't he? Let's see if he grabs any grass here on the way in, although he was a long way around the corner.
No.
He just loses it on his own.
Yeah.
Just lost it on his own, and then smashed the power down as well to get out of the way, and fair play to him for that. As poor Clark just showing why he is such a defensive and such a good defender, but John McHutchinson down the inside, he's got on the grass though, and he should be alright. Clark didn't get a great exit, although, he nearly went for it at Magnussen Beckett's. Not quite, but Hutchinson 5th. That might be all he can get, and if it is, he's limited the damage very, very well here as things stand right now. Dan Webster, 2nd place for him right now. He's the best place of the championship contenders, the championship 4 if you like. He needs this race win though. He needed to gain points today. This is his chance right here.
Yeah, he definitely needed it. Sorry, but he definitely needed this, didn't he, Dan Webster? But can the child do it? Can the child hang on? Bousson's out again. I think he's had another little accident. He's out. He's out. He's gone from 4th to out. He's out. That's it to the end for him. But Webster's battling Child. Can Child hang on? He's got this one and one more. He's got to be in the car like a man sat in a sauna for 12 hours a day. Webster's going to go.
Oh, what a dive that is. To go wide at Bridge and down the inside through the next. A wonderful move from Dan Webster when he needed it most. And James Child has just had the win stolen from him, quite possibly on the penultimate lap. Has he just given it all too early in this race? His tyres look absolutely on the ropes right now. And Dan Webster looks to be coming in form at exactly the right time. Is he on his way to a victory here? Is he on his way back to this championship fight?
Oh, James. Oh, James Child has just been robbed. It's like his candy being stolen from a baby there. The Webster cover took it off him. Child leads for 13 laps and loses it just before the final lap to Dan Webster. Could he have defended more? Could he have put it in? I don't know. But, give it back to him, Dan. Give it back to him. He's done a stellar job. You've got to give it back to him.
Dan needs these points. Looking at the way things are right now, it would be his biggest scoring day of the championship so far if he was to be able to do this right now. And it's only dropping 3 points on the day as well. Would be a fantastic performance from the man currently 4th place in the championship. He would still be there, 4th place in the championship after today, but he would be significantly closer. Further behind, it looks like Luke Maxwell's run through the field has just taken a bit too much out of his tyres, as it has for James Child in 2nd place as well right now. Maxwell's only going to gain a further 2 points over John McHutchinson by the looks of things to extend his championship lead to 10 points at the end of this race here. Edwards is going to close into 16 points behind by the looks of things. We'll do the math properly and tell you by the end of the show. But what a race this has been. The Radical Race Series delivering another absolute classic. James Child not quite able to get there. His win stolen off him right at the end by Dan Webster, who is going to take this at Silverstone. Just over a second at the end. What a fantastic drive. What a performance. And you can see just how happy he is with that. James Child has got to be pleased with 2nd as well. Simon Edwards 3rd, Maxwell 4th. John McHutchinson limits the damage as best as you could possibly hope for in 5th. Another absolute classic delivered by the Radical Race Series. What a fantastic race.
Absolutely. I don't know. I feel so sorry for James Child. Like, unbelievably gutted for the man. He was there. He could smell it. His first victory of the season. He had it in his hand. He left that little bit of a door. And Webster turned around and just went, "You can't do that, son. I can't let you have it when you give me that much room." And unfortunately for James Child there, he didn't get it there, unfortunately for him. But boy, oh boy, Webster, Child, Edwards, everybody else, take a bow. That was absolutely incredible. Got Mike Bousson in chat with grumpy faces, and we're going to have a look and see what actually happened to Mike before we go and bring you up the final results here. Mike's last spin that put him out of the race.
Yeah. What a shame it was for Mike Pearson as well, who was right up there. And here it was. Oh, there's the final one. A great avoidance from whoever that was behind.
Robert Woodward, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. Robert Woodward, and that was the end of Mike Pearson's day, I'm afraid. Yeah, just getting impatient on the throttle, as Boson just said in chat, actually. But yeah, absolutely fantastic race again. And Phil Glover deciding to end this race backwards, which is odd, but we have seen some odd things tonight,
Well,
I suppose.
Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he has finished now.
He's finished.
15th place for Phil Glover. Not the top 10 that he was maybe aspiring for, but I think that was more of an aspiration than a real hope or a real belief there for that one. Important win, though, for Dan Webster. James Charles certainly won the fans' hearts in second place. Simon Edwards running off the podium. Luke Maxwell and John McCutcheon in the top 5. Paul Clark did eventually get overtaken by a few people, but still finished 6th. George Gonzaga, 7th.
Yep.
Thank you. David Rolliston, 8th ahead of Robert Wood and Damien G to round out the top 10. Seth Brown was 11th ahead of Jamie Bird, who started from pole, by the way, but had to recover, obviously, for that first lap spin. Paul Clark was... I've been doing that a couple of times now. Paul Crabb, 13th place. Phil Jocelyn ahead of Phil Glover in 14th and 15th. And then Mike Pearson and Darryl Taylor didn't make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, I don't know
what a race it was.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I don't know if we missed Darryl. Oh, what did Darryl do here? Hold on.
We didn't see it, certainly,
From
Darryl. Let's see what happened in the famous Skittles car. Oh, just lose it on his own there. Just on the turn-in, really.
Can't have been his only one, surely.
Possibly not. Well, yeah.
Hold on, there's another one.
There is. Let's see. Might get some Beckett's this time. This looks... well, there's the run on the grass. That looks like... Oh, that's when Paul Crabb went around. That was just after something else had happened. Something was going on up front. I can't remember what it was, though. I do remember Paul Crabb going around for a spin.
There he goes.
Oh, there, that will do it. And this
That's
is going to be a big hit. There you go. Yeah. That explains a little bit more. And, yeah, you can see the left rear there. Just all out of whack.
Yeah. So
And a shame for Darryl Taylor to end his race that way. But we do now have a couple of drivers joining us and waiting for us in the interview room. So let's bring them in from top to bottom if we can. Let's start, of course, with the race winner, Dan Webster. Dan, welcome to the booth. You must be very, very pleased with that. Bit of a nervy one. But I've got to ask, were you holding something back in that one? Or was that literally the first moment and first opportunity you really got to overtake James there?
No, I was going for it. I was giving it everything. It was, it was a great race. Very tricky to overtake. James was quite kind to me there. I think he probably deserved to win that one. I think he'd have held on to that if he hadn't have really opened the door for me.
Well, he certainly won the heart of the neutral, I can tell you. I know you won't know that, but obviously everyone likes an underdog. But you were able to rip that away from them here today. And an important one as well. Just how important do you feel this win is? I mean, this one, I got second in the sprint race as well. So this is your biggest points haul that you've had all season by a couple of points. So just how important is that at this end of the season in the situation that you were in before this race as well in fourth?
Yeah, it's good, obviously. I guess I probably need 2 more perfect races to have a stand a chance of the title. But it was a great race, and quite happy to get the results I did. That was good.
You mentioned there that it was difficult to overtake. Just how bad was it? And is it? I've got to ask as well. How different is it to the Silverstone that we have these days as well? Because this is 15 years old now.
I think most of us were probably running very high downforce, which sort of kills the toe a little bit. So you don't get much of a toe effect down the straights. And I mean, certainly when I was behind Simon and James, I got caught out a few times entering corners a bit quicker than they did, and perhaps we had different lines, and it was very tricky. But I don't actually think I've raced this car around the current Silverstone, so I couldn't tell you how it compares. But I mean, this was a great circuit for the car. It was really good.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier on the broadcast that I can't remember the last time Silverstone was on a radical calendar. I don't remember seeing it at all. So yeah, I can believe that certainly. But Dan, congratulations on the win here in, I guess, second place in the sprint race as well. Very good round overall for you. Congratulations. And last of all, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely Luke. I mean, on the third lap, I was in third place, and I still would have put money on him to win. So the fact that he didn't, I'm delighted about. So thanks, Luke.
I'm sure you are. Congratulations, Dan, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Dan Webster, victorious in the feature race, just ahead of James Child, who I'm hoping we're going to speak to a little bit later on. But third place, just behind, we'll stay on the championship contenders theme. I'll speak to Simon Edwards. Simon, welcome as well. Third place by the end, just held off Luke Maxwell for that position in the end, and fourth place in the sprint round as well. How would you assess your round overall?
Adequate.
Adequate.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like once I was into fourth, I thought I should be able to win this, or get in the lead, not necessarily win it. But I just couldn't get. I'd put an extra bit of rear wing on, and I just couldn't go through Maggots and Beckett's, and behind him, because I was understeering so much. So I ruined my own race a bit. But I don't know if if the setup would have stayed with me if I'd gone with less rear wing anyway. So I'm sort of satisfied.
What was the thinking in terms of downforce here? I know there's always a little bit of kind of games going on between people almost with regards to what wings people go for, but Silverstone not really used recently in the Radicals racing. What was the kind of thinking in terms of car setup and how you were going to tackle this race? How you were looking forward to it, maybe as well, if you were or not, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Silverstone too much, but this version's not so bad. On the downforce, you probably know F1 cars run just about max downforce here, so it's certainly not a low downforce circuit. But I tried to go a medium downforce, but it didn't really work for me. They were getting away from me in the first race, and then to make sure I had that the rear end at the end, I put even more on for the second. So it was probably the wrong amount. I ended up with 6 of 9 rear wings, so I was on the high end of medium.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, of course, but yes, it's always one of those games that's played. And moving forward as well, I've got to tell you that I'm pretty sure, based on my calculations anyway, you are at 16 points adrift of Maxwell now in the championship. How do you think your chances are going forward to Brands Hatch? We're getting towards the business end now. What do you think of your chances are of getting another title?
Not so high. I've dropped some pace this season. I don't really know why, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. So we had a good race there. We had a good race the last race. We're all together now. So the racing's getting better. It's
been absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, these last 2 weeks especially have been great racing, and you've been very much a part of it. Last of all, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Shall I give a shout out to Silverstone? No, I'm not going to give a shout out to Silverstone.
Just said you
I'm
don't
going
like
to give
it.
a shout out to McLaren. Go for it this year. Get with those top 3.
A bit
That's
of
what I'm gonna
UK bias there in the on the broadcast, but we don't mind that. We'll take it. Congratulations, though, Simon, on another podium here this evening, and we look forward to seeing you once again next week.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Simon Edwards there with another decent round, another consistent round, a very Simon Edwards round of the Radical Race Series, and in true Simon Edwards fashion, by the way, exactly the same points as he managed to get last week, which is just typical. So there you are. He just this is what he does. We're going to move on though to the championship leader, Luke Maxwell, who did a good recovery really, or a good run from 10th place in that race. Luke, congratulations. Once again, still championship leader, extended your championship lead actually here today as well. How was that round for you overall?
Yeah, tough to be honest. That was tough race. I had a really good quali set up, and obviously set a good time for the pole there. And race 1 was good fun. Racing with Dan side by side for a lap. brilliant. Really enjoyed that. And then race 2 was just tough, to be honest. It was got bumped by John on the first lap. Dropped a couple of places, and then really hard work trying to get back. I think I hit Dave Rolliston at one point, so apologies for that, Dave. And then it was tough. Obviously, the timer bumped me near the end, and I was up to 13x. So I was like, well, but even if those guys didn't start battling, I don't think I'd have gained the gap. To be honest, it was you're pushing on those tyres on that track. I think it was definitely a tyre management track today.
Certainly was. There was a lot of talk before the race and during actually as well about that. Just wanted to go back though to that start of race 2 sort of incident. Obviously, you and John are fighting for a championship right now, and a lot of incidents happen, of course. But it was a big moment. Just what was that contact like from your perspective in the opening lap?
Yeah, it was quite a jolt. To be fair, I didn't know if John, because I think right behind us or in the mirror there was some carnage after the bump, but it felt like. I thought I would left enough space, but he just caught the grass, didn't he? And let the back end come out. So you can't really blame him for that. It's one of those. I don't think I squeezed him too much. It was just I had a really good exit there, so I was quite confident of getting down and getting the pace on the straight. But it's one of those things. Good racing, good side by side racing, though.
It certainly is, and as a result, or not a direct result of that, but partly due to that, you've extended your championship lead now to 10 points. How are you feeling going in towards Brands Hatch with that kind of margin?
Still not a lot, is it?
No, not really.
I'd say it's tough. I like Brands Hatch, so I'm sure the others do as well. It's going to be close. So and then of course we got Nords with the endurance after that. So I think there's a lot of play in trying to get at least retain the gap next week if I can. But you never know. I mean, I was very close to getting disqualified today. So patience in the end.
There's a lot riding on these next 2 weeks, and I have to say I can't wait personally, but it's going to be some nervy moments for some drivers, I can tell you that. It's going to be a lot of fun though. Who would you like to give a shout out to, Lastonville, before you let you go?
I'm going to give a shout out to the Azuri fans just after the bridge corner up there in the stand. There's a little unit that I used to work for that company, and I've been in that stand, and it's still the 2008 model still set up. So yes. I'll give a wave out to those guys.
Little legacy Silverstone here this afternoon, or this evening, I should say, for the 2008. Very nice to see. But Luke, congratulations on another successful round for yourself and retaining the championship lead as well. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys. See ya.
See you later, Luke Maxwell, championship leader at the end of today by 10 points. We haven't been able to get James Child, unfortunately. I know people want to hear from him, and we do as well, because
he hasn't got a fantastic microphone.
No, unfortunately not. So that's what we're hearing anyway. So a real shame for James Child, but we will be able to bring in Phil Glover to round things off here this evening. Phil, welcome to the booth again. Good to have you here. Progressing across the line, an interesting way to end your race there.
I wasn't going to lose out, was I? Really? I thought I'd give you sight of my new colour scheme. Seeing as you weren't sure about what was on the front of it. Well, I wasn't either. Two guys in the end, wasn't it? So I thought you'd better check out the back for me just in case.
Well, I was gonna ask you about last week's livery actually, whether we actually got to the bottom of what the hell was going on there, but I guess you haven't.
I think it's some sort of Spanish politician.
Oh right, that's so random. That's
so
random.
I decided in the end that he wasn't prepared to give me any sponsorship money, so I kicked him off.
I do like the new paint scheme, by the way. It's a nice looking actually. But in terms of the racing today, we spoke to you in between race 1 and 2, but in race 2, you I had aspirations for a top 10. Maybe I said in commentary, maybe it was more of an aspiration than a belief, maybe for you. But how did it go for you?
Did I get up to? Maybe I got up to 11th or something, and then because. It's no excuse, and I apologise to whoever it was, but in VR it's really difficult to see anybody alongside you unless you've already clocked that they're there or coming up on you. And I caught somebody on the inside, didn't I? And I obviously got my due comeuppance. It put me back to the back of the grid, but I don't know who that was. Do you know?
I don't know if we caught it. There's so much
No,
going
you
on at the
probably
time.
didn't, yeah.
When was
I
this?
can't. It was about lap 1, wasn't it, or lap 2? Very early in the race.
I'm a look. Oh, hold on. I'm a looking.
We'll try and find something. We might be
Yeah,
able to
it
do.
doesn't matter.
Might be able to figure this one out here. Yeah, I think this is the one. So down into you've got someone on the outside. I think that could
Bird.
be Jamie Bird. Yeah, just recovering from. Oh no, this is not the one. I don't think.
Yeah,
Or maybe it is.
That's where he gets punted round.
It is. Yes. Okay. So
Jamie
it was
Bird.
Jamie Bird. A little bit of contact, but I guess these things happen, and I guess I do. Not having driven in VR myself, but I do believe you in terms of how difficult it is to see cars alongside you like that, and I can especially understand, given the replay we've just seen, that you just wouldn't have seen, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no experience, but hey ho. I think at least he finished up on me, so I don't feel too bad about that.
Final thoughts, Phil. What about Brands Hatch next week?
Brands Hatch. Well, that's not a bad track, is it? I don't know. Let's
overtake on, like. I don't know.
Maybe I'll come up with another, design for you to have a look at.
Maybe another politician from another random country, maybe. Just put on like the Bolivian president.
Well, you can't put a UK politician on because by the time you've had it all painted, they've gone.
Oh, okay, right.
So you've got to pick a foreigner, haven't you? Really?
Very good.
Well, they're gone quicker than me, anyway.
Very good. Phil Glover there wins the broadcast with that there. Phil, last of all, is there anyone you'd like to? No politicians, if you must, but anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Okay, I don't know. Well, obviously, well done to Dan. Yeah, well done to Dan.
There we are. Good round from Dan today. Phil, thanks very much for joining us again, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again next week. Hopefully with less.
I'm sure you will.
Maybe
I'll start in reverse and finish going forward.
Oh yeah, maybe that'll work out a bit better. Yeah, hopefully not from the middle of the pack though. That'd be a bit too much maybe.
Okay, guys, take care.
Thanks very much, Phil.
Cheers and bye.
See you later. Phil Glover there wins the broadcast. That guy there. I've never heard James laugh so much as well.
Don't. I got tears running down my
Great
eyes. Got to love Phil Glover.
You certainly do. We do have a bit of a surprise, by the way, joining us in the interview room. Not that we don't normally hear from him.
Oh, is he coming?
But just didn't think he would join us today. But John McCutcheon does now join us. Welcome, John. Good to have you here. Recovered to 5th place in the second race, but I guess you're going to be, a little bit disappointed maybe with how that happened.
It's my fault. I can't get off the start line. I keep screwing up the starts and losing places, and then you're getting under pressure, left, right, and centre. And I just clipped the corner in the last coming out the what's it called? Fast left-hander. Just clipped my look, spun me around, and that was the tyres taking a beating on the first lap. But to come back to 5th, I was happy. It's good for that.
Yeah, it was a good recovery. We've spoken a lot as well in the race about how it's been difficult to overtake and so on. When you're coming through the field, it's obviously always a little bit different. But just how difficult was it when you were coming back through?
It wasn't too bad because there was a few spinning out in front of me. They were giving me freebies. I think about 3 positions, maybe 4, just with people spinning out in front of me. It got a bit difficult the further up I got, so that was good. It's good fun.
Yeah, it was good fun to watch as well. Championship now, 10 points adrift of Luke Maxwell. But you do have a very good drop week to kind of fall back on. It's going to get quite complicated over the next 2 weeks, if I do it before you, which we're not going to enjoy, me and James. But anyway, how are you feeling about Brands Hatch coming up in a week's time?
Usually quick at Brands Hatch, so looking forward to it. And it's another track, very, very difficult to overtake at Brands Hatch. There only is one chance, really. Other than mistakes, so it'll be all about quality, and Luke seems to have that in the bag just now, so we'll practice more and try harder.
Certainly, we look forward to seeing you again next week. Before we let you go, John, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
A shout out to Dan and Luke for that epic first race. The two of them went side by side almost a full lap, and I was just trying to stick my nose in, but no, well done to them.
It was certainly a great battle, and you had front row seats for it. To be
Yeah.
fair, it was fantastic. Congratulations, John, though, on your run back through the field. Even if it wasn't the result maybe that you wanted, but it was a good run back through the field, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thanks, June.
Cheers, thanks very much. John McCutcheon in 5th place in race 2, 10 points adrift now in the championship. There are your interviews, James. It's been very entertaining race once again. This series, these last 2 weeks, I'm sure these next 2 weeks, it's absolutely delivered. It's been enthralling.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think that has been absolutely incredible. The last 2 weeks racing here and that feature, even the sprint today was absolutely epic. And if if you're not sitting back at home thinking, wow, that was just amazing, well, I don't know, because it was absolutely incredible, especially for us up here in the booth as well. So overall, an absolutely stellar job. James Charles did confirm. He said he hasn't got a mic set up as if I'd ever need to be doing interviews for the podium. So there we go. But
that's just how much of an underdog story it was.
It was incredible, and I think he did an amazing job. We kind of writ him off at the beginning, which was a little bit bad.
We totally writ him off.
Which was a bit of a bad one on our part, but he did an absolutely amazing job. And to lose it on the white flag corner almost as he come round, it's tough. I do feel for him, but he did do a stellar job.
He did. And our second place is a good result as well. If you'd have told him at the start of the race he would have got second, he would have been more than pleased. So,
absolutely.
Fair play to him. But that's just about going to do it for us here from Silverstone. 10 rounds down in the Radical Race Series, and it's only getting more exciting as we're going along. As I believe to be the case, Luke Maxwell continues to lead. Well, I know that, but the gap to John McCutcheon, I believe, is 10 points. Right now, 16 points back to Simon Edwards. Dan Webster has moved to 28 points, the biggest gainer of the day today. But as he said, he does need 2 pretty big rounds to get to within range of this championship. And by the way, at the end of the next round, you will need to be within 9 points of Luke Maxwell to have a chance at the Nordschleife. Because of the way that the drop rounds work. I'll explain a bit more about that next week because it's going to get very, very complicated. So I hope you will have been doing your revision in the week and you're going to be ready because it is going to be a bit of a brain fryer possibly at Brands Hatch. But we're looking forward to it and we look forward to your company there as well. Thanks so much for joining us here this evening on the JPB broadcast channel. Make sure you look around for some other broadcasts either coming up later on tomorrow night and in the future, or indeed previously as well, because it's all there. But for now, though, we're going to bid our farewells. I've been Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt alongside me. And until we see you again very soon, it's goodbye for now.